was really important because at the time I was making heads of managing directors in bronze, and I was living halfway down a rough track, and I thought these two things don't add up really. And I was walking with Hamish, who was introduced to me through my dentist, and he said, "Oh, you should meet my nephew, just down the road from you." And Hamish invited me to go to the Rockies, and we went in October and walked for about 3 weeks, planning to walk from Jasper to Banff. But it was an amazing walk, and I thought, yeah, if you could make a living doing this, that'd be great. But of course, I couldn't make a living like that, because they'd cornered the market. Hamish Fulton and Richard Long, that was it, really. There wasn't any room for any more. So I had to find another niche, really. For a long time I was just walking in wild places and building man's first need, a shelter, and I was just using materials that were to hand, and they were built on mountain tops, they were built wherever I was, really, and then I would take a photograph and move on. You're walking, you're having this very much outside experience of the landscape, a very bodily experience, and then you build a shelter and then you go inside it, and that's a very interior experience. So making shelters and baskets was both had an interior and exterior element to it, which I found quite interesting, because that's got analogies to the way we view the world in an exterior way, the way we use it, and the way we feel about it in an interior way. So I was using what I've learnt to use materials that are to hand. By walking and by making stuff where you are, you live lightly on the earth. I use that same principle, and I've continued to use that same principle ever since. I began to think about what I was doing. The baskets actually got bigger and became big woven works. I made quite a few of those. Some of them were about 70 feet high, around redwood trees and things like that. And then the shelters, what I came to call cloud chambers, because what I was normally doing was just having a white floor, dark chamber, and a lens or an aperture at the roof, and you get clouds drifting across the floor. Well, I'd made a camera obscura project at the Eden project. It's still there. And while I was there, I was just wandering about Cornwall, thinking, God, it would be really nice to make one of those on the coast, looking at the horizon line. Claire Amanda rang me up, and she was working for the Morecambe Bay Partnership, and she said, "Oh, we've got these commissions for Morecambe Bay. Would you be interested?" And I just thought, yeah, I would be, because I know what Morecambe Bay is like, and it's got this vista. I thought, that sounds brilliant. I'd love to go in for that. So I applied and I went through all the process and all that, and was chosen. And then the Morecambe Bay Partnership had a huge difficulty actually finding a site where everybody could agree that it could be. Either it was National Trust land and it was too precious, or there was a flower growing there that didn't want to be destroyed, and there were various things that just didn't work out for all sorts of sites. And then they came here to Sunderland Point, and there's this wonderful community who just took one look at it and said yes. knew I wanted somebody really good to make this, because I knew that I wanted this very precise building. And I wanted it all to be of stone. I didn't want any wood, I didn't want anything rotting in it. I wrote to the local dry stone walling association, which is not far from here, it's just underneath the Lake District, and they immediately recommended Andrew Mason, who said he's the best in the country, and he probably is. He's astonishing. So I wrote to him, and he was very interested. He'd made a number of works for Goldsworthy, and both in America and over here, and so I knew that he was very good, and I knew that you had to have somebody who knew how to make these buildings, because they aren't easy to make. And so by the time we'd found the site, and Andrew had said yes, and he got space in his year to do it, we then had to get planning, and then it got pushed back and got pushed back, and it just got later and later, and eventually, we started in early November, which is like the worst time of year, and I was like having kittens. But the thing about Andrew is he's just unflappable man, and he's used to working in all weathers, and he was concerned that the ground would get too wet, so they wouldn't be able to get the stone up to it. But we've been very lucky. We've had a dry autumn and a dry winter so far, and here it is. He's built it. Now we're trying to get the lens to work and get the wall white and get it all light tight, and at the moment we've got problems with glass misting up inside and not being able to wipe it because you can't open it up. But I guess that's the nature of the thing. Yeah, if it's cold, the glass will mist up, and when it gets hot, it'll probably dry off again. It is extraordinarily beautiful because it's just this enigmatic circle in there, which is the horizon line, but it's upside down because you put a lens or an aperture, you get your image is always upside down, which is basically what your eye does. Your retina, an image of whatever you're looking at is upside down on your retina. It's your brain that turns it the right way up. So here we're seeing it upside down, which is you get this very enigmatic image of sky on the floor, or sky underneath, and the landscape below. And the landscape is changing. It changes all the time out here. So sometimes the landscape is just black, and you've just got the light sky like it was last night. And so you've just got this half circle of the setting sun on that sky, which is really beautiful. And of course, the image you get now the tide's out, you've got that green kind of mud flat out there, which on a bright day like that you'll see the green. On a dark day it'll be just a dark grey. But and then when the water's right high, you'll get sky and sea. It's never, that image will never be the same, ever. It's always changing. You're sitting there and it'll change. I mean, that's basically it. It's this incredibly well-made building to give you this experience inside that's otherworldly. And you can just sit there and just watch this image change. Yes, I mean that's what it's meant to be. It's meant to be otherworldly in there.